Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone out there. This is Gerard Moultrie coming to you live right here from the Voice Community News. And I have a special guest with me in the studio today, who is one of the candidates from Darlington County, who is running for the city seat there. And I'm going to bring her on momentarily here. And we're going to talk a little bit and have a little dialogue about her, and I'm going to allow her the opportunity to certainly introduce herself to you. And I am going to bring her in the studio right now as we speak. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Gerard. I am well. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I appreciate that immensely.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you for taking opportunity out of your busy schedule to join us in the studio today. And what I'm going to do is make room right now for you, first of all, to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Oh, great. Well, I am Angela McRavin, known to many as Nikki McRavin. I basically spent the majority of my life right here within the city limits of Darlington. Went to school here, went to Florence Darlington Tech, stayed around, worked in this area. And over the years, I've been attending city council and county council meetings. And this year, attending those meetings and listening to what was going on and how things are being handled, I just felt a need to step up and actually become a part of city government. Therefore, I decided to put in a bid for city council. It's an at-large seat. Election day is next Tuesday, quickly approaching, and I am all about government transparency and making certain that people are fully aware of how their tax dollars are being spent and the things that are happening in city government, better utilizing resources, making certain that we increase funding for those critical departments such as fire and the police department, as well as partnering with the county and with nonprofits so that we can get a domestic violence and a homeless shelter, as well as fixing our crumbling infrastructure. Infrastructure is key to all of it, really. But those are some of the things that I am very passionate about and want to make certain that I am always a voice and a listening ear for the people of our community, and making certain that they are indeed heard.
So I hear you tell me, I guess you're running. So first of all, I want to thank you for even taking time to be a servant, to want to run. But I want you to explain to the viewers exactly what is at large, because many people, I think they get a misconception sometime of at large. I know we just recently had a situation in the city where people didn't realize, that at large they could vote. They were thinking like, hey, I'm in this district, and I can only vote in this district. So I want you to, first of all, explain to the viewers what exactly does at large mean for the voters in Darlington who would like to vote for you but live in a certain district.
Certainly. So an at-large seat means that you're not just restricted to one district. You are actually covering the entire city, the entire 4.7 miles of Darlington, of the city of Darlington. There are currently 3 seats available. So the top 3 vote getters will take those seats. So it doesn't matter what district you're in. The at-large seat is just that. It's covering the entire city. So you're looking for someone who will be a voice for the entire city and not just one particular district in one area of town, but we'll take into consideration what's best for the entire city.
Okay. So what exactly, and I know that you talk about infrastructure, and infrastructure is the key to any city. So once you get the infrastructure kind of laid out and you guys got the infrastructure, tell us some of the things that you envision bringing once you could get that infrastructure kind of where it needs to be able to bring these things.
Yes. Well, it is imperative that we provide programs for our youth. Crime rates are increasing. The majority of the crime is being committed by young adults, and we don't have very many opportunities for positive influence and positive outlets for our youth. I would love to see and really hope and want to partner with all with the necessary people to get a boys and girls club, for instance, in our area. We don't have one. And I think outlets like that will give our young people an opportunity to explore their talents, whether it's through sports, through arts. It is so important that you give them positive role models. And when they can see people who look like them and um, either mentoring them or actually in positions where they can feel like, hey, we can do this too. I can become this too. We don't have to fall victim to the streets and take what they have to offer, but through some hard work, dedication, that they can grow and enhance their God-given talents. I think that's really something that we need to work on, need to focus on, and make certain that we are providing for our young people. There has been so many tragedies in our community, and I don't want to see another young person lost to violence. Um, but in order for that to happen, we have to be able to support them and provide them with what they need, so that we can make certain that they do have other options.
So I hear you talking about crime, and I know that you guys just recently got a new chief in the area after Mr. Kevin left.
Mhm.
So what do you envision about the crime? Because I cover a lot of news in Darlington, and I think the crime rate is really, really, high there. So, once you are elected, what are some things that you anticipate in putting in place or doing to see, some of the crime rate reduced and the recidivism kind of cut?
Well, we have to fund our police department much better. It is hard for them to recruit and to even keep good officers because the pay isn't where it needs to be. It's hard to compete for officers, especially those who are experienced, and we need some experienced officers. And it is truly a big blow when you are losing an experienced officer. That hurts. That really hurts the city. So we have several vacancies. Right now, it's like more than six vacancies. We're down six officers. When that puts additional pressure on the people, the officers that we do have, but it also means they aren't able to cover the areas as we would like for them to. It's hard to do drive-throughs and to ride through areas that are high crime rates. We need cameras. There are some strategic areas of the city that would really benefit from having video cameras, for instance. Had we had cameras, the incident that happened at the adult education school, maybe the suspect could have been caught even sooner. Had there been a camera available, they would have had that, been able to locate that vehicle. They would have had something to go on sooner and been able to locate that person. So it is extremely crucial that we do what we have to, whether it's via grants, to make certain that we are funding them so that they can protect and serve us to the very best. Everyone wants to feel safe in their home, feel safe in their community. And right now, a lot of people are not feeling safe. And I can totally understand that. But we have to do our very best to make certain we are utilizing our funds properly. And currently, there's a lot of waste. Funding that could be used for our police department. So we need to make certain we're allocating that funding properly.
So I have a question. You brought up another question for me. As a new city councilman, um, how would you deal with the waste that is being done? Now, let me say, I don't know any waste because I'm not, there with Darlington. But what you just said, waste, how would you deal or what would you do to prevent the waste from being spent wastefully and that money be applied in a more proficient way?
Well, communication, I think, is key. to this as well. I'm big on communicating with people, letting people know what's going on, getting the community's insight and their input, giving them an opportunity to tell you what it is that they want for the community um, is always beneficial. And I say that because there was a huge piece of property that was purchased in the county by the city, but the property is actually in the county for a sports complex. You know, it's over $500,000. That's a $500,000 that was spent on the property itself. There has been designs, testing, even a piece of equipment purchased for the upkeep of the land. So we're close to $750,000 at this point of taxpayer dollars that is tied up in a piece of property that we're not able to use as a sports complex because it's not, we can't get it, it has not yet been annexed into the city. The people surrounding it don't want to be annexed in. So now the talks have transpired and they're partnering with the city. And as a matter of fact, a press release came out this morning where they've now said, oh, we're partnering with the school district and we're going to actually work towards a different facility or a different piece of property within the city limits around the Blue Street area near the high school that now that's where the sports complex is going to be, and we're going to share it with the school district. So had those talks had they happened before this property was purchased, those $700,000+ that we have tied up in a piece of property could very well have been used to increase salaries for our police as well as our fire, could have been used to purchase the equipment from new radios for the fire department and the firemen that need them, as well as the cameras for the police department. So those type of things, that's when I say waste, that's what I'm referring to. Those type of things that happen. And it's not just that situation, but that's the biggest one right now. And now we're going to have to dig into our budget even further to fund or to help fund this new piece of property that's within the city, partnering with the school district. So are we at a point where we can ever sell that piece of property and get all of the funds back that we've put into it? Highly unlikely. So we'd be selling at a loss. And we just can't afford that type of waste and that type of loss. It's taxpayer dollars. And I feel like if there had been an open forum and a discussion to begin with, the citizens would have said, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. I'm not going for it. Let's continue to search for our options. And we could have come up with a better solution much sooner that would have been far less costly than the current one.
Okay, well, let me, good, very good. How many people are running for this at-large seat?
So there are actually 3 at-large seats, and there are 6 candidates. So when you go to the polls, you'll get to vote for 3 people. The current incumbents, Gardner, Nettles, and Milling, are running for re-election, and myself, along with Mr. Albert Johnson and Ms. Gloria Cheeseborough Hines, are also candidates for those seats. So again, when you go in, there is no button for Democrat or Republican. These are nonpartisan elections. Therefore, no one had to register as a Democrat or a Republican. So you literally have to put a check mark by each person's name that you want to vote for. And I sort of like the nonpartisan because now you're not stuck with just a particular party, but you should be looking at the candidates based on your views and how they line up with your views and your values and in the vision that you want to see for our city.
So wasn't one of those names, if I remember, my mind is right, was the former mayor one time?
That's right. Ms. Gloria Cheeseborough Hines was the mayor from 2016 to 2020. Yes. She'd been on council prior to that, and she's running for a at-large seat this time as well. Mm-hmm.
Well, Ms. Anderson, I thank you so much. And as we get closer to the election, I'm sure we will be kind of seeing you. I'm going to let you have the platform and just kind of tell our viewers. I'm going to let you close out and tell them whatever you have that you feel that would get them out to the poll. It is early voting, and I would encourage you to tell them about, you know, voting. And I will say this before I let you, kind of tell them this is just an interview and only an interview. We cannot, as a news media, endorse a candidate. We cannot promote a candidate. We cannot push anyone to vote any candidate. So I want to be very clear with that. I interview all kinds of candidates, and it does not say when I go in the box, I check the box, but just so folks will know, I can't even vote in Darlington because I don't live there. But I wanted to just put that out there. And so, Miss Angela, I'm going to release you and let you kind of share with the people whatever's on your heart.
All right. Well, great. Well, yes, early voting has started in South Carolina, started October 23rd. Friday is the last day to do early voting. You vote at the local voter registration office located 131 Cashua Street in Darlington, 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. There are no extended hours for this municipal election. If you are, I say, disabled or handicapped, you don't have to worry. They do have curbside voting. They will actually bring it to you and you can vote from your car. It is most imperative that everyone participates in this voting process, not just because, especially as an African American community, our ancestors bled and died for this right. But I tell people all the time, you know, no one ever tries to steal something from you that's worthless. So your vote does matter. So never feel like your vote doesn't matter, because if it didn't matter, we wouldn't receive the fight and the push for us not to vote, and for people telling us not to vote and to make you think that it is not important. That's why it was so hard for us to get voting rights to begin with, because they knew the power in that vote. And that vote is your voice. By not voting, you are expressing your voice as well, just in a negative manner. So bad officials are elected every day because good people fail to get out and vote. So I encourage everyone to please vote, get out and vote. If you're not able to do it before this Friday, Election day is next Tuesday, November 7th. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Take a friend, call your family member and ask, hey, have you voted yet? But it is truly critical. We are voting for mayor, and there are 3 candidates for mayor. The current mayor is seeking re-election, Mr. Scott Pruitt, and a young fellow by the name of Damian Prince, who has a heart and a passion for young people as well. He's truly has a vision for young people and a desire to make certain that their concerns and they're taken care of, and then we guide them in a positive light. But as far as my platform of government transparency, I feel you have a right to know how your tax dollars are being spent. I want to be able to communicate with people. I listen to stories as I'm knocking on doors. I haven't knocked on as many as I would have liked to, but I know there's quality there because I have actually listened to my community members when I'm out there. And right now, I know there are so many concerns, but one of their biggest concerns is the safety of their children and their grandchildren at school, and wanting to know what we're going to do to keep them as well as their family safe. And I have already been putting a plan together of things that I want to see done. Partnerships are absolutely critical. We have to generate more revenue. We are so privileged, and unlike most small cities, we don't just have we have a racetrack, a NASCAR track that brings tens of thousands of people to our small city twice a year. And we need to better utilize that and take advantage of all of those people who are here and have them giving and pouring into our revenue by having a festival, bringing them downtown so that they can put some revenue into our city and spend tax dollars with us, because the more revenue we generate, then that's the less burden of our citizens. 25% of our citizens, unfortunately, are living at or below poverty. So we have to keep those things in mind. The last thing we need to do is have to raise taxes. So anything that we can do to generate additional revenue, relieves our citizens of those burdens. And I want to make certain that we are not just thinking about the same status quo, but that we are also thinking outside of the box. That's why I say public forums and town halls are important, because even though we may have an idea of what we'd like to do, there's a citizen out there who can make that small idea great. It can go from good to great, something that the 7 people who were elected might not have thought about. So we have to always be in communication with people and make certain that we are forming and forging partnerships to get the job done. As I said, we need a domestic violence shelter. We need a homeless shelter. 1 in 3 women are affected by domestic violence. And we don't have a shelter, and we don't have the critical infrastructure they need to provide the support for them. So we just really need to partner with the county as well as with some nonprofits to make certain it happens for us. And overall, I would say, remember, it's your voice, it's your vote, it's your Darlington. Help me bring the luster back to the Pearl of the PD.
All right, there you have it, coming to you live right here from Voice Community News. We have Ms. Angela McRavin, who is a candidate from Darlington City Council. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And as I said, we will be in contact with you as we get closer to the election. And again, I want to just reiterate this to the viewers. This is just for information purposes and information purposes only. We do not endorse any candidates. We're not a part of any candidates election. We're just here to be a voice so that you can get the information of the candidates to be able to make an informed decision as to who is the best candidate. And again, if you're in the city of Darlington, she is running for a at-large seat. That simply means that everybody all over the city of Darlington, you can vote for her. Again, thank you so much, Ms. Angela McRavin, for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Again, thank you for having me. And I will say, I almost forgot to say that on this Saturday, I'll be hosting a Get Out and Vote fish fry, free food from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the South Main Street Pantry. I hope anyone who would like more information come out. I'm happy to meet and greet you, and we can talk further about my platform, and I can hear your thoughts and concerns as well about our community.
All right. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you.